Now, I don't even know where to begin with this story that needs, well, these people that need to see Lord Chippy. But this first story, I swear to you, you guys have no idea how angry these stories make me. So I need y'all to be angry too, so we can get something done and get something changed. Because something needs to happen to protect our children out in this country. And we can affect, change and actually, create departments that are fit for purpose, in theory.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and he don't play games.
Of course, after that setup, I couldn't find the story that I needed, but we are seeing a lot more of these stories too, and this is just as dangerous as any drunk driver, even more so with the amount of people and patients' outcomes that they can interact with and affect. An imposter nurse was arrested after seeing nearly 4,000 patients without a license, the most disturbing case of medical fraud. An imposter nurse, yes, a phone nurse, was arrested after treating over 4,000 patients at a Florida hospital without any medical license in a 2-year scam that staffers only discovered when she was up for a promotion. What in the actual effery? Now, Autumn Bardizia, 29, was arrested Tuesday after allegedly treating over 4,486 individuals since, starting work in July 2023 at Advent Health Palm Coast Parkway, while lying about being a registered nurse, the Flagler County Sheriff's Office said. This is one of the most disturbing cases of medical fraud we've ever investigated, Sheriff Rick Stately said in a statement. This woman potentially put thousands of lives at risk by pretending to be someone she's not. Authorities began investigating Autumn in January after hospital administrators fired her for allegedly impersonating a registered nurse. I impersonate a functional human being all the time, but you don't need to be licensed for that. And I'm not giving out medications or, affecting other people because I don't leave my house. That being said, now the accused scrub-wearing con artist used a former classmate's medical license number and a false documentation to get a job as an advanced nursing technician. Now, when she applied for a position at Advent Healthcare in 2023, Autumn indicated that she had passed the required schooling to become a registered nurse, but had not yet passed the national exam to get her license. Later, the sham nurse told supervisors that she had passed the exam and even provided a license number that matched her first name, Autumn, but had a different last name attached to it. Now, she explained the, suspicious discrepancy by saying she had recently gotten married and changed her last name, but never was asked to, or never was able to produce a marriage license when she was asked to do so. I mean, why are you looking confused, ma'am? You had to know this was going to happen at some point. Now, when Autumn received a promotion at the hospital in January, a fellow employee learned that she only had an expired nursing's assistant license, triggering a workplace investigation into Autumn's identity. Now, the hospital fired her on January 22nd, 2025, after she still refused to hand over either a marriage certificate matching the last name on her license or, proof that she had a functional license. Now, cops later discovered the nursing license matched the name of someone Autumn had attended school with, though the two didn't really know each other. Now, Autumn was arrested at her home and charged with 7 counts of practicing a healthcare profession without a license and 7 counts of fraudulent use of personal identification. Now, she is currently being held on a $70,000 bond. Florida, watch out. Like in the one state you don't want this to happen, it's Florida, with a state that's already infested with Florida man. Now you've got Florida not nurse. You've got, Autumn not Florida or not medical woman. What in the hell is going on? Y'all, again, if this is not in the final chapter of Revelation, I don't know what's going on in the world today. Well, he might have seen the Karen Reed case, but he kind of went out it all cockeyed and he's going to prison for a long time. A doctor smothered his wife with a pillow and blamed the family dog for the injuries he suffered as she fought for her life. So he tried to pull a it was totally the dog that scratched me. It wasn't my wife as I was smothering her. This is what happens when you don't have Alan Jackson. A Florida doctor is heading to prison after he took the life of his wife by smothering her with a pillow, then claimed that the injuries he suffered during the attack were from playing with the family dog. Okay, Chandler Halderson, sure. Dr. Thomas Wenzel, 72, pled no contest to second-degree murder in the death of his wife, Linda Wenzel, in their home in Windermere, a wealthy Orlando suburb. Now, on Tuesday, a judge sentenced the disgraced doctor to 12 years in prison. Now, that number is probably with the acknowledgement that he is 72 years old and going to Florida prison. Now, police responded to the home on December the 2nd and found Linda dead in the master bedroom, lying on her back. Now, detectives deemed her husband's statements inconsistent with what they were seeing on the scene. They also noted that, the husband had cuts, bruises, and abrasions on his face, neck, and arms. When asked to kind of explain how all of these facial and necular and handular injuries went and came from, he claimed that he was playing with the family dog, and that's what happens, as you do. Now, however, 3 days later, when cops responded to Thomas's office for reports of, threats of self-deletion, according to a court document, officers took him to the police station for an interview. And after being read his Miranda rights, he admitted to taking the life of his wife by suffocating her with a pillow. He stated he and his wife were the only people in the home at the time, and he had spontaneously reacted to an argument that had ensued during the night. Now, Thomas was taken into custody and has been at the Orange County Jail ever since. Now, neighbors at the time of the murder said the couple were known to fight. It's a very quiet community, one neighbor told ABC affiliate WFTV. Only arguments I've ever heard came out of that house. So I'm glad that her family got the justice and answers that they needed, and he wasn't able to besmirch a good puppy's name. This man was trying to lie on the dog. He was trying to pull a Shaggy defense and blame Snoopy. This is not going to fly, even in Florida. And now I remember where I put the story I was all pissed off at to begin with. This one. Look, there is nothing that I hate more than an agency or something that isn't fit for purpose. And why is it every time I do any research or any digging deeper into one of these stories that has involvement with family social services or, DCYF, whatever your state calls it, why are there always tons of stories like this? Why is it that states continue to put kids back with parents that don't care for them or assign children to workers who don't give a rat's ass? She had one job. A child welfare agency worker was accused of leaving a 3-year-old in a 140-degree car for 5 hours until he passed. An Alabama woman and state child care employee left a toddler inside a hot car until he unfortunately lost his life, police in the Yellowhammer state say. Keela Stanford, 54, stands accused of 1 count of manslaughter, according to Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Now, a warrant was originally issued for her arrest on 1 count of being a person for hire responsible for a child under the age of 7 and leaving the child unattended in a motor vehicle in a manner that created a unreasonable risk of injury or harm. Now, the incident took the life of 3-year-old Kitorius Starks Jr., a boy who was frequently under Stanford's care and supervision. This is a terrible tragedy, and it was completely avoidable and unnecessary, the DA's office has said. Our condolences go out to Katorius's family. Now, at the time of the incident, Stanford worked for the Covenant Services, a private company contracted out by Alabama's Department of Human Resources to take children to and from daycare, according to court records obtained by Birmingham-based Fox affiliate WBRC. So this woman's only job, if I'm reading this article correctly, if I'm comprehending facts and taking in information, was to take these children, these precious babies, to and from daycare. So her entire job, if I am understanding this correctly, is to make sure that a child was taken care of, not neglected, and not left in the car while she took them to and from preschool, which was the only thing she was supposed to be doing with, any kind of, ability to do so. Because I'm a little confused. Because I can get when people at McDonald's ask me if I want cheese on my hamburger. It's annoying, but they're not in charge of lives. And as picky as I am, I realize that I can, in fact, peel, processed cheese off my hamburger should it actually be an issue. This is a child. This shouldn't be hard. You have one job. Now, on July 22nd, KJ, as the boy was known, was found alone inside a car parked outside a house on Pine Tree Drive, authorities said. Now, it was determined that he had spent some 5 hours inside that vehicle from 12:30 p.m. 12:30, you were done with your job at 12:30 and you couldn't look in the back of your seat to see if there was still a baby in there, to 5:30 p.m. Unfortunately, first responders did try to render life-saving aid at the scene, but he was pronounced on the scene, the driveway outside of Stanford's home, by Birmingham Fire and Rescue. Now, Stanford was known to the family as a woman from Covenant who picked up KJ, a child in the foster care system, from the state and took him to his daycare appointments, according to his aunts. Now, KJ last saw his aunt in May, she told AL.com, and at the time she bought him inflatable pool toys and fed the toddler pizza. He was telling me, "Auntie, I love this," the aunt said. "I made his day that day, and unfortunately that was the last day I saw my nephew. It hurts. It hurts deeply because they failed him, and it makes me feel like we failed him as well." The Child Welfare Agency released a statement following KJ's death. "Please don't sue us. It's not our fault. We contracted." A child in DHR custody was being transported by a contract provider when the incident occurred. The provider has terminated their employee. Due to confidentiality, DHR cannot comment further regarding the identity of either the child or the exact circumstances. Now, in an earlier report, the WBRC provided a transcription of part of a phone call allegedly between Stanford and KJ's family after the tragedy. "I went to the daycare," the person identified as the former worker said, "and I got sidetracked. I stopped off, got something to eat, and when I came out, instead of going to the left to the daycare because I got called and they said I didn't have a case, I instantly said to myself, 'Oh, I'm done for the day. I'm going home.'" Now, I will say that they have done studies for this, and just a very small change in routine, especially for new parents. Now, I don't know about her particular situation, but for new parents, any change in your routine, any change in the way you do things in the morning can make you more likely to have one of these incidents. Now, I never had one of these, but I've had other things that my kids have done that, looking back, by the grace of God, we all survived their childhood. So, but this is ridiculous. This is her only job. The child's father interjects to how she could forget about his son, to which she repeatedly apologized and says she didn't mean to, and that there are not enough words to express how bad she feels. Later, another one of KJ's relatives said, "This baby died in a car. He suffocated. He didn't have no help, no nothing. You had a child safety lock on the door. You didn't think to look in the back seat?" To which the woman said to be Stanford replies, "No, ma'am, I did not. I wouldn't have killed no child." Now, the little boy's father last saw him alive that morning during a scheduled visitation at Department of Human Resources office in Bessemer, a suburb of Birmingham, located about 19 miles southwest of Birmingham. Now, words can't even express how I feel right now, the father told TV, and TV stations and local reporters. "As soon as I leave my son, the first thing he says is, 'Daddy, I want to go with you.' He says that every time, and it really hurts." Now, on Friday, the family held a press and vigil conference in KJ's honor. G. Courtney French, the family's attorney, addressed the allegations against the since-fired daycare transporter, according to Birmingham-based ABC affiliate WBMA. She rode around for over an hour from 11:30 to 12:30 with KJ in the back seat, and then drove back to her home where she said she forgot he was in the car. She had one job to do, and that was to pick KJ up. Now, French elaborated on the incident in comments to KL.com. "This is a parent's worst nightmare. This tragedy was preventable. Based on preliminary investigations, the interior temperature of the car where he was trapped likely exceeded 140 degrees. Now, the defendant was arrested on Friday morning, but quickly released after posting $30,000 bond. Her first court appearance was on Monday, which she missed. A new hearing will now be scheduled in September. And she didn't even show up to her hearing. Like, at what point? Lord Chippy, just slowly and on repeat. Because I can't. Just know. It's one thing, again, to screw up at any other job, but you have kids in your care, and we hold you to a higher standard. We just do.